Hey, what's going on? Today I want to talk to you about some lies, and do some myth busting. These are some things that I'm hearing a lot out there, and they're really harmful. Okay, they're really causing fear. Literal people are literally scared and terrified of a Donald Trump pregnancy, presidency, and part of it is because of these lies. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to tell you what it is, tell you the truth and why it's not a lie, provide proof for that, and hopefully alleviate some fear. That's what I want to do, is alleviate some fear. First, let me go ahead and say my last video I did, I used the term which was offensive to some people, and I apologize for that. Um, my goal here is not to be a shock jock or offend people or make people angry. I'm just driving and jiving. Having long days. I'm just trying to entertain myself, hopefully entertain you. Not pretending to be a nonpartisan or something that I'm not. This is just me talking. But I did say something that I won't say again, and I apologize for that. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right. So the first lie that I want to go over is the fact that, and I saw it on MSNBC a lot. I saw CNN, and then I've heard like people in like on these shows, and I've heard actual people like on the streets, and like uh, people in real life say this. And the lie is that Donald Trump actually said he was going to be a dictator on day one. Donald Trump said he was going to be a dictator. Said he was going to be a dictator from day one. Well, that's not true. Okay, that's not at all true. So what I did was I did what I do, and I did the research, and I found the actual clip. And what it was, to give you some context, it was a town hall with Donald Trump and Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity is a far right, is a right radical. He's a far right TV host. Not a fan. Maybe you like him. Cool. But it was a town hall with Hannity, and Hannity says to Trump, he goes, people say you're going to be a dictator. And Trump kind of laughs and shifts in his chair, and he says, only on day one. Only on day one is what he says. And then everybody's kind of like laughing and some clapping. And then Hannity's like, well, what are you going to do that's, makes you a dictator? And he goes, I'm going to close the border and drill, drill, drill. Close the border and drill, drill, drill. And then Handy says, well, that doesn't sound like dictatorship. And then he literally goes and says, I'm not going to be a dictator. I won't be a dictator. So the lie is that Donald Trump said that he would be a dictator on day one or from day one, declared himself. The truth is that he said he would be a dictator only on day one, jokingly clarified and followed up with I am not going to be a dictator. I won't be a dictator. I mean, so that's the truth. He didn't say that he would be a dictator from day one. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. It might not, but I hear it all over. So what you can do is, if you hear somebody saying that, you'd be like, hey, that's not true, man. You're spreading misinformation. Like he literally said he wouldn't be a dictator. Like the next sentence, he said he wouldn't be a dictator. But whatever. Or you just keep to yourself. It doesn't matter. But hopefully it alleviates a little bit of fear that the guy coming into office actually said he would not be a dictator, okay? And jokingly said if he was going to be, just for one day, okay? The second one ties into him being a dictator, and I hear this a lot, and it's that Donald Trump's going to take away the rights of the American people, specifically women's rights. Drill that down a little bit more. What it ends up we're talking about is abortions. We're talking about abortions. Donald Trump is going to do a national ban on abortions, or women's, medical rights, whatever you want to call it. So I did again what I do, and I did research, and all I could find over and over and over again was clip after clip, article after clip of Donald Trump saying, I'm not going to do a national abortion ban. I have no interest in doing a national abortion ban. I don't want to do that. I have no interest. Over and over, all over on CNN or whatnot. Okay. What he continues to say is that I wanted to give the power back to the people, which is what happened when Roe v. Wade was overturned. The power came back to the states. That's the way we're actually supposed to. It's called federalism. Kind of think of like 50 little countries within a big country, because what's good for the people in the middle of Alabama is not the same for what's good for the people in the middle of Portland, Oregon. It's just not. So what federalism does, and by doing this, it lets the people that live in that actual community get to decide what's best for them and their people. Okay, so that's what he said. He said, I wanted to give the power back to the people, which in turn, that's actually what happened. We are a government of, by, and for the people. And now we have the power to make the decision about that. Okay. He also goes on to say that if I was going to do it, why didn't I do it? Like, I had the opportunity. If I was going to do that, why didn't I do it? So I want you to keep that in mind. Not only did he say he has no interest, and not only did he say that if I did want to do that, I would have done it, and that he wanted to give the power back to the people. I just don't see that happening. Now, I get it. You're going to say, but he's a liar. And that's fine, but I'm going to ask you, point to a politician that hasn't lied, okay? They all lie, okay? But what I'm also going to ask you to do is, let's not have selective believing, okay? You're going to believe he's lying about things that you don't like, and you're going to believe he's not lying about things that you don't like. You're going to believe when he said, whatever, I think you get it. You don't have to believe him, but that's where the third part comes in, and this is the strongest one. And what I looked into is actually the powers of the presidency. And it ends up that the President of the United States does not have the power to strip rights from the American people, the American citizens. They cannot do that. They do not have the right. We are three equal co-branches of government, and there's levers and mechanisms in place. So if somebody did try to do these things, they would be shut down. Okay, so if Trump does get into office and turns out where he, is trying to do dictatorial crap, first, I'll be the first person on here telling you I'm sorry and I was wrong. But number two, what will happen is these levers and mechanisms will go, start to take action and not allow him to do those things. Okay. Including the Joint Chiefs of Staffs of the military and the legislative branch and the judicial branch, will stop the executive branch from anything. Can the president make executive orders? Yes, they can. I explained in another video what an executive order is. But if the executive order strips rights from Americans or is unconstitutional or flat out illegal, it won't be passed and it won't be enacted, and it can't happen. So that's the biggest one, is when it comes to, he's going to take rights away from people, specifically women, and specifically their right to choose. He doesn't have the right to do it. He can't do it. Okay? So hopefully that alleviates a little bit of fear. So now we have a guy that actually said he won't be a dictator, that he has no interest in doing a national abortion ban, and doesn't even have the power to do it anyway once he becomes president. So hopefully that helps. Now, the last one is one that's been around for a long time, but I hear it. It's like, what do they say? It's an oldie but a goodie. And it's the fact that they claim the fact that Trump called neo-Nazis very fine people. Trump called Nazis very fine people. Now, I admit that's terrifying. If you were to tell me that the person that was about to step into the office of the presidency said that neo-Nazis or white supremacists were very fine people, I, too, would be like, damn, like, what are we doing here? Like, is this going to work out well? So what I did is what I do, and I went ahead and I found the transcript, the exact transcript, and what it was a press gaggle where they were yelling and screaming at him, and he was answering back. So it's actually kind of hard to follow the transcript, but you can. It's all in there. And it was about after Charlottesville. Now, Charlottesville was a riot that took place, and it started with people that actually had permits to protest, and there was a side, And Trump even says this, and he's talking about sides. There's a side that wanted to take down a statue of Robert E. Lee, wanted to rip the statue down because he's bad. And there was another side that wanted to leave the statue up. Said, no, even if our history is bad, it's important to learn, keep our history. We can learn from it, So there were two sides. And what happened was a third group showed up, and he even says in this transcript, calls it a group showed up, and they were neo-Nazis dressed in black, and they started to cause violence, and everyone started fighting, and it unfortunately led to the death of a woman, of an American citizen. Okay. So the press gaggle, everybody was yelling. But even in the beginning, Donald Trump goes ahead and he's like, no, I condemn white nationalists and this and that. But that's not the issue. The issue is that people are trying to get you to believe that our soon-to-be president called neo-Nazis very fine people. So go ahead. I'll put a link in the description for the to get to any of this, the video of Sean Hannity talking about the dictator stuff, and the actual transcript of this, or message me for it. I'm not a big enough I can't do live links for something for some reason, but you message me, say, hey, I don't believe you. I want to read the transcript. I'll send it to you. I don't believe you. I want to see where he says I won't be a dictator. Okay, no problem. I'll send it to you. But anyway, so you go through the transcript, and it's going on, and Trump's even clarifying. He says almost that verbatim, like, you have a side that wants to rip down the statues, and there's a side that wants to leave the statues up. And then he says, and there's another group that show up, and they're very, very violent. You know the way he talks. I can't do it. And then they yell things to him, and he answers that. And then somebody says, he's talking about the sides and the groups, and now they're trying to get to... It's almost like they're trying to trip him up, to be honest with you. They're talking about the violence. And that's when he says, look, there are very fine people on both sides, okay, both sides. And what he means is there are fine people in the side that wants to rip down the statues, and there were fine people in the side that wanted to keep the statues up. He was not saying there were very fine people in the group of neo-Nazis. And you're going to say, well, you're just assuming that. Maybe he did. And I'm going to say, no, I'm not. Because when you get to the next paragraph, he literally says the key words. The key words are, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists or white nationalists. And I am not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally, is what he says. Literally in the next paragraph, he clarifies to the reporters, I'm not calling these people very fine people. These people should be condemned. Literally the next paragraph. So the lie that Trump has called neo-Nazis and white nationalists very fine people that's causing fear in people, and it doesn't need to be there. If you want to instill fear in people, don't do it with lies. Do it with facts. And what I just gave you was all facts. Fact, he said he won't be a dictator. Fact, he doesn't have the right to take away your rights. Fact, he said he doesn't want to. Fact, he said he's not talking about neo-Nazis and white nationalists. Fact. So hopefully that helps you. I don't know if it will. I don't know what to do, but I have people in my life that are literally scared, like seriously scared. And I'm trying to find a way to alleviate some of that fear and be there and support them. So maybe this will help you, okay? And so that's about it for today. So go ahead. I mean, you can agree with me. You can disagree with me. You can go ahead and do some research. You can do no research. Go ahead and leave a nice comment, leave a nasty comment. I don't care. These are facts. And this is what I found when I looked into it, and this is my opinion. So I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. I'm going to scare the crap out of this car next to me, but hey, talk to you next time.